Okay, let me move to a different subject for a while here and introduce Tom Farrell, who is scratch building his new layout. And he's done some beautiful work on it in a lot of different areas. So Tom, we're interested to see, I think you're finishing up your fishing village tonight.
That's correct. Thank you again for having me. It's appreciated. This evening, I'm going to show you what I call super detailing these structures I've been working on. So we could call this barnacles and bird droppings. So these are the three structures that I'm going to feature this evening up front here. If you remember from a previous show, this was the very first bait shop that I made. And almost looks like it's abandoned or vacant without any details surrounding it. You look at it and it just looks like it's an abandoned building. So when I say super detail, I mean we're adding things like figures and garbage cans and things of that nature, as you'll see. And it really makes these buildings come alive. Just for location, this left photograph shows you this first structure, then we'll move to this middle one, and then to this end structure. But these are all complete now, and these buildings are just sitting there. That's the next month's project. But here's a little roof detail. Jim Kello asked several months back, he says, do you detail the roofs of your building? And why, what are some of the reasoning behind that? Well, if your layout, my layout starts at 48 inches high, and the first thing you see is the roofs of these buildings. So I think it's important to add a lot of detail to the roofs, and it's pretty evident on this particular structure. It's a shanty, so they've put all kinds of scrap and it's all kinds of wood and textures and interesting things to draw the eye to. But that's an idea. That's an example of super detailing. These are the actual components that I'm going to use, the parts that I'm going to use to quote super detail this building. I got these fenders. They're old tires from Frenchman River Model Works. This guy has a lot of interesting components and kits on his site. We're going to be featuring a my build on that in January. Berkshire Valley Models is another good source of cast metal components. These garbage cans and this drum came from them. Not entirely sure where this came from. Northeastern Scale Lumber is where I got these lamp shades. They come molded in green. These are painted here. There's two types of brooms are from Berkshire Valley Models. Builders and Scale is another component manufacturer. This is cast pewter as well. Smokestack wall mount. I'm not sure where I got this. I looked online to try and find where I bought this collection of this casting here. I don't think it's made any longer. I just couldn't find it. And then my little sign here, Skippers, is just scratch built off of PowerPoint. So there we are. See how that thing just jumps alive with people and barrels and garbage cans and lights and signs, and just literally pops, comes to life. These tires, I just took a pin vise with a drill and I drilled 2 holes in here, and I used this hemp string that I got at a Hobby Lobby. I simply primed all these metal components with a primer, and then I painted them with old silver in the case of the cans here and rusted them. These are just acrylic paints over the primer. These pewter figures come from Artista. They come pre-painted. This is just very inexpensive hemp cord from Hobby Lobby. This is my boat from previous show. The only thing I did from the last time you may have seen this is I put this fella on here. He's looking into the hold, seeing what's left in the hold. Just everybody's doing some sort of action. I added these willows here. Just add a little detail. I'll start detailing out. I'll move from the water to the shoreline to these buildings up top. So I started doing a little detail here. You can see some of the little stuff I put on here, and just makes for a nice catch your eye. Now, I didn't want to forget about the barnacles and the bird droppings. My birds are on the way. They haven't arrived yet, but there'll be pigeons and seabirds hanging on some of these posts. These barnacles are nothing more than a fine Woodland Scenics ballast that I glued on there with Elmer's glue. And then I painted them gray. Then I painted them white, highlighted with white. Then I hit it with an alcohol wash. It just came off like a very nice barnacle. When you put in these artista or any figures, you like to have them doing some action. So in this case, the guy behind here has, he's tying off the boat while this guy's pulling in with this metal wire. So, look, it has the appearances that there's some action going on. This fella's carrying a box. This guy's actually looking at the next bait shop. These are those bumpers. They're just tires. Fenders is what the proper word is. And there's my sign, Skippers. So anyway, this there's a nice close-up of the guys working. The weathering's real nice on that. This is the next structure. Pat and Phyllis's bait shop. This is without any, quote, super detailing. So you can see these boards are too fresh. There's no real weathering on the side here. This, quote, billboard is just glued on there. I want to say it's basically a lifeless structure at this point. I mean, it's a nice structure. It's a good, these are all scratch built, but the first thing I wanted to add was a jib crane. And it's a simple little kit with these tiny little parts. I just used a plastic testers, styrene, cement to put this together. And it's a grant line. There it is, put in place. We'll get to the details in a moment. Putting that chain in there was just a lot of fun. I just want you guys to know how much fun I had putting that in there and hooking that onto this hook. Was just one of the best hours I've ever spent, I think. You can see these guys here on this right picture in focus. They're actually playing cards. And I put some more of those fenders on. They come in a 10-pack. I don't like to normally duplicate or use these same tires everywhere, but I couldn't really find any of sufficient size, so I just use them on the adjacent building. Here's a little roof addition I put on here. Just a simple piece of wood, some shingles. Another detail, I see there's dual piers here. I roped them together. It's a nice little detail. And here I framed the sign, which really makes that pop. And I weathered the entire building with black alcohol washes, and with white paint I put bird droppings on here. There's some more barnacles, nothing more than fine was actually buff color when it started, but like I said, I painted it gray, then white, then put some alcohol wash on there. Then I went back with the green and touched it up, but it's a nice effect. You also notice the water here. I put Mod Podge on my resin cast water. That gave it additional depth because you couldn't just see right through it. It's tough to see in that photograph. There's the top of that roof. See those shingles? I just stained them and then I hit them with a white highlight, a dry brush. And I put a smokestack and a little air conditioner on top there. And I did do a reference check. They had air conditioners back in the 20s and 30s. They weren't widely used, but there is some justification for it. So that's the two buildings. There's a, like I say, once the front of this scene is complete, and the next, I'll switch to the next row and do these buildings one at a time. But here's the third bait shop. Again, it's a nice little scratch build. It's interesting, but it looks abandoned without any figures or anything on these decks. And so it's a nice little building. These are the detail parts I am going to that I use for the detailing of this third and final bait shop that we're going to. Again, these are cast pewter. I had to sand these flashings off and clean these up, take some of the mold marks off. These are those tires. That's the wrong side of the tires, and just some detail items here. And look at that. I mean, doesn't that that's just a huge difference from a vacant, desolate building. I mean, everything pops on here.
Yep.
Thurston's Bait and Tackle. I mean, I decided to name everything after Gilligan's Island. So, but see the garbage cans again, they're painted old silver from Local and rusted. The figures are pre-painted. Look at the side here, you see my shovel and broom. I put a Coke machine here. I did a reality check. Those did exist in the 1930s. Again, the same bumper treatment and bird droppings, and below are the barnacles. You can see a little bit of barnacles there. There's that tool, that work desk. So the first thing I did is primed the entire cast pewter workbench with a gray primer. Then I took a light colored brown and painted the top of the workbench, and then I went back with a darker brown and highlighted it. And then how I paint all these accessories is I just grab different colors of little bottles of paint and just arbitrary, there's no rhyme or reason, I just paint them all different colors. I did want my pipe wrenches to be red, but that's there. And these are just old silver. It's really easy to paint, you just highlight it. Trying to create the illusion that these three guys are talking to each other. He's facing this guy's doing something with parts here. He's has his hand up and he's talking to this guy. It's just the illusion of something going on here is the idea. There's the scene. I don't normally show my fascia board, but I couldn't figure out how to get a profile shot of it. But those are the three buildings. There's the boat, and there's the covered bridge, and these three are just sitting there, or these four structures are just, those are next on my list. There's looking from the bridge. There's my river going across there. It's a really neat looking scene. Urge you, if you're ever in Bloomington, to have a look at my railroad. This is really, I try to convey what it looks like with a photograph, but it really is quite an interesting scene. And when this is all done, it's going to be a pretty uh, neat little shanty town. And that's it.
I think it looks magnificent, Tom. I think you're just ought to really, really be congratulated. That is just, from what you started with, that is gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
Anybody have any comments for Tom?
Beautiful job.
Thank you very much.
It is. Each one of the building, each one of the structures just comes alive.
Yeah, those details, I call it super detailing, really really make a big difference. I'll tell you. They
Do.
you can see it in, like, for example, this building behind me, even though it's just in sepia, you know, you add all these little details, they just come alive, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me a real charge with the hobby is, you know, the detailing. I don't think you can over detail something. Just takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Really beautiful, really is. Maybe sometime you can give us a real hints on how to thread that wire through. I mean, that's got to be an easy project.
You start with a bottle of scotch and then take it.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.